would she be interested in auditioning? And she was a very good sport, and I took her right down the street there. We were only a block away from our studio, and took her inside and had her do some readings of some of the lines that E.T. would say, like phone home.
E.T. phone home.
Oh my God, he's talking.
Oh.
E.T. phone home.
E.T. phone home.
And so I took her voice and I changed it just a little bit electronically. I changed the pitch and lowered it just a little bit. And I had her speak in a rather monotone quality and slowly. And what I would do to give it an element of the alien character was I would mix her voice with the breathing or the inhale and exhale of one of the animal sounds that I had recorded, something that was sort of non-human. And to the human ear, you can detect the human quality as well as the, say, animal quality, the non-human quality. And it was that blend that I began to work with to create, to envelope the words that she would speak in English.
Stay. L-E-R.
I should mention that all told, there were 18 different contributors to the voice of E.T., including the animals, as well as the various human characters who might have provided a snort or a burp, or a breath. And certainly Pat Welch's was the most significant single contribution because she did the English words. But remember, those words were envelopes and intercut with all kinds of other little noises. There's scenes when E.T. gets drunk, and I used some vocalizations from my old cinema professor at USC, Ken Mura. I guess he plays a good drunk alien. I don't know. There were some other children and friends of mine that I recorded breathing and making funny noises. I really just collected a lot of different pieces of things to put it all together.
Well, let's go on and go back, shall we?
And music's out. Music's out.
Okay.
We are OUT at that point.
Okay. Well, let's go back and cue this little thing.
Right. And I've always felt that Johnny was my musical rewrite artist. He'd come in, see my movie, and rewrite the whole damn thing musically and make it much better than I did. And he can take a moment and just uplift it, and he can take a tear that's just forming in your eye, and he can cause it to drip.
The first time I saw E.T., the bicycle over the moon wasn't there because it was a special effects shot, that comes in later. So the composer doesn't have the benefit of all the beautiful visuals and the dissolves and all the rest of it that's put in later. What do we have to do musically to accompany a thing like that? I look for melody, all these intervals that reach up, up, up all the time, to stretch the musical grammar, to give this kind of feeling. And then in performance, the same thing. I don't know what that's more like ballet, that's more like a certain kind of energy of how you make, you've got a 100-piece symphony orchestra, how do you make it feel like it's going to come right off the floor and not be all these heavy people playing violins, but with lift. And so that's a kind of immediate balletic or even athletic goal of the music in a scene like that. And when you get that feeling, you fill your heart with it because it's like a deep breath of wonderful air and you feel free. And it's affirmed that you have a creature that you can fly with that is not of our own species, but of our own spiritual oneness that we'd come together and join, and we go over the moon. Fantastic idea, and it needs great sweep in the music and great feeling of freedom. Freedom being, in this case, the loss of gravity. We speed up beyond escape velocity, we lose gravity, and we're now in space, and we are finally free. And that's what the orchestra has to give us, the composer has to give us.
In 1975, he directed Jaws. In 1978, he directed Close Encounters of the Third Kind. In 1981, he directed Raiders of the Lost Ark. And now, Steven Spielberg brings us E.T., the Extraterrestrial.
The sneak preview of E.T. was a religious experience. It was emotional, it was loving, it was generous on the audience's part, and it was a love fest. It really was. And you know, you never know what you got until you show it to an audience for the first time. And I didn't pretend that E.T. was anything other than a kids movie about kids, for kids, of kids, by kids. I was still a kid then. I still am a kid now. What the hell?
I remember Steven sitting next to me and kept pounding on my leg. And in fact, I had black and blue marks because he kept squeezing and pounding, going, they're laughing, they like it. And it was overwhelming. I see all these kids it was the kids primarily, to see the reaction they were having. And then at the end of the movie, everybody at a preview audience, they're all standing up and clapping and stuff. You just don't ever see that.
Everybody paid complete attention, and there was a real feeling of identification. You could just slice the atmosphere. And it was just a wonderful, tender experience I'll never forget.
And I think that's when we just had a little hint that this might be kind of big.
We were all just soaring, but it was not until the Cannes Film Festival. It was almost a phenomenon, you know. We took the film out of competition to Cannes on the last night.
And about 15 minutes before the end of the movie, people started to clap and stomp their feet. And we thought, what is this? You know, because first of all, your stomach's churning and you're nervous and you think, oh my God, they don't like the movie. And then we realized it was just the opposite. They loved the movie.
I'd never been to the Cannes Film Festival before. You know, what a way to go for the first time. I got this little telegram from Francois Truffaut, and the telegram, which meant so much to me, said, "You belong here more than me," echoing Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I mean, that just broke me up. And then at the end of the festival, we had like a 15-minute standing ovation, and I remember I kept getting standing up and sitting down, and they kept clapping and standing up, sitting down, and I was getting embarrassed, and I turned to Melissa and made her get up and sit down. She got tired, and everybody around me, I kept, take a bow. We were all getting, it was an amazing experience, and then there was this little flame in the middle of the crowd, and somebody was holding up a little lighter. I looked down at one person who wasn't clapping, just holding up a little, you know, cigarette lighter, and the flame was standing out, and it was Jerry Lewis, just holding up this lighter, which was a wonderful thing to see Jerry smiling, and it was you know, that will never be equal.
I think we had a couple of genuine conversations about sequels. As I recalled, we were going to create another character called Joe, who was going to be a long, spindly guy. He was sort of going to be like the Fred Astaire to E.T.'s Gene Kelly. And we had fun sort of playing around with the idea. But at one point, I actually remember us sort of shaking hands on the fact that there would never be a sequel.
On many levels, this is a story that was very, very personal to Steven. And I think he always felt, and I think he was right to feel this way, that it would cheapen the movie and the experience of the movie and what it meant to him and what it meant to audiences to just go try and duplicate the movie in some way. And on so many different levels, it was an experience for him and for all of us that we weren't going to duplicate.
I never made a sequel to E.T. because I can't ever make an E.T. movie as good as what I did.